Red Dead Redemption 2 is now a 2.5-year-old game, and despite its age, it is gradually joining a restricted club of titles that are breaking their amounts of new players years later after their release. So, how can we explain that phenomenon? What is the reason behind the game's ever-growing popularity? That's what we'll find out in today's video. Welcome to The Eradicators, everyone. I am your host, The Eradicator, and in this video, we will break down Red Dead Redemption's surge of popularity into three different reasons. The first one being the nature of the game itself, the second one being Rockstar's approach to the game, and especially its multiplayer entity, Red Dead Online, and finally, we'll have a look at how console players are moving to the game's PC version, which could perhaps be the main reason behind the game's ongoing apparent growth. As a Red Dead player myself, I think that the game's most appealing factor is its niche setting in time and in place. I mean, if there had to be a video game equivalent of John Wayne or Clint Eastwood's Western movies, that would be it. And this already positions the game and the franchise at a unique position, which I find very refreshing whenever I put myself in the shoes of Arthur Morgan or my very own character in Red Dead Online. And just like myself, it appears that a growing amount of people are enjoying this means of escapism that is put here at our disposal. You know, the opportunity here to be brought back at a time where life was more authentic and less artificial, while enjoying at the same time far more awe-inspiring sceneries than anything that looks like or lockdown cities that we are currently having in the current pandemic-plagued world. The ambiance that goes along the game is also a far cry from the oppressive, heavy thug life attitude that is all too present in the Red Dead Redemption's Rockstar counterpart, the GTA series. Being a father myself, I certainly would not play GTA 5 in front of my 7-year-old son, but I feel like there is a lot he can learn from my Red Dead gaming sessions, and as more families get confined in the limited space of their apartments, I do feel like it did play a role in the title's growth. Now, the next part that I believe weighs in Red Dead's attractiveness is the way Rockstar curates its multiplayer mode, Red Dead Online, which is very similar to how GTA Online is managed, but with a few differences nevertheless. The first point I'd like to point out is that new content is regularly being added to the game, which is obviously something healthy for an online title. And by content, I just don't mean dispensable cosmetics, but actual profession, story-driven missions, and online activities such as a modern-day gamer's favorite Battle Royale mode. I've played the online game for about 20 hours, and I feel like I've just scratched the surface of it. Another particular aspect of Red Dead Online that I particularly appreciate is that not everything seems to be locked behind a paywall. I mean, sure, you need gold bars to gain access to a lot of features the game has to offer, like professions, but just by playing the game regularly, it is actually possible to gather them without having to open your wallet. As mentioned earlier, I've played the game for about 20 hours online, and I am at 2/3 on my way to unlocking my first profession, and given how enjoyable and fun the activities I've done in the multiplayer to build up my stack of gold have been, I wouldn't say that this is a grind, but actually it is quite a pleasure, which is what I think is maybe Red Dead Online's biggest strength, because it definitely plays a role in increasing a player base if they enjoy what they are doing in the game. Now, the next part that I would like to talk about is, in my opinion, the most interesting one and could explain why there are right now more new players in Red Dead Online than there were when it was in alpha stage, and that is the fact that PlayStation 4 players have migrated from their aging and now obsolete console to the game's PC version. And among their grieves, they have been, for example, longer loading times and connectivity issues, as well as the limitation to 30 frames per second. And rather than buying a PlayStation 5, which are still regularly out of stock, these players instead go for gaming PCs capable of 60 frames per second and better graphical settings that they couldn't afford back in 2018, with the improved quality of life certainly being well worth the loss of their console characters and the hundreds of hours invested in the game. Now, it is also worth noting that Red Dead Online is also being sold as a standalone game, so separate from Red Dead Redemption 2. Originally, it was sold at $4.99. Now it is sold at $19.99, which could also explain why there was a surge of players. Most of these players choosing to go to the PC version when it was still at about $5 rather than now $20. That definitely makes sense, and that is a substantial amount of money for people who don't necessarily have the means to buy full prices game or even spend $20 on a video game that they maybe already had on another console. So there you have it, guys, why Red Dead Redemption has gotten more players lately than it has had at release. And if you haven't checked out my review of the title in the description down below, I certainly suggest you do, because it explains why I have regularly been particularly enthusiastic about that game. And that marks the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. This channel is still in its infancy stage, so if you think that I did a good job, I would immensely appreciate you to give it a like and smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time for more content. Have a great day. This is the Eradicator. I'll see you guys later. This video is brought to you by the people who support this channel on Patreon and via the join button as well. Supporters of the channel get access to lots of cool perks, such as access to my private Discord, your question answered in the show, you get to know when I'm going to play, and also you get to have a chance to influence the editorial line of the channel. Any help is appreciated, starts at just $1 a month. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Eradicator, and I'll see you guys later.